My grandfather didn't leave much behind, just a small estate in a village in Chemain that most maps seem to have forgotten. It's the kind of place where the air always feels heavy, like it's holding its breath. When I went back there last month to settle his affairs, I found the kura, the old family storehouse, bolted shut from the outside with heavy iron slides. It took me an hour to force it open. Inside, it wasn't gold or heirlooms. It was just a box. It sat on a low table, wrapped in layers of rough hemp rope that was crusted with gray, ancient salt. The smell hit me immediately. It wasn't rot exactly. It was the cloying, oversweet scent of aged cedar mixed with something metallic. It tasted like copper on the back of my tongue. I remember thinking how heavy it was for its size. It didn't feel like a hollow container. It felt solid, like a single, dense organ. I took a pair of shears and cut the first layer of the salt-stained rope. In that exact moment, the sound of the cicadas outside, the constant buzzing hum of the Japanese summer simply stopped. The silence wasn't peaceful, it was a vacuum. I brought the box into the main house and set it on the kitchen table. I didn't notice it then, but when I pulled my hands away, there was a faint, greasy residue left on my palms. It wouldn't wash off with soap. It just sank into the skin, cold and quiet. By the second night, my wife, Naomi, started complaining about a phantom weight, a piece of cold lead sitting deep in her pelvis. She wasn't in pain. She was just aware of it. Then there was our daughter, Hannah. I found her in the kitchen at 3 a.m, standing perfectly still in front of the table. She wasn't looking at the box. She was leaning her ear toward it. She told me it sounded like a lot of people whispering in a very small room, but they were all talking at once so no one could be heard. I told her it was just the house settling. I wanted to believe that. But the next morning, I found a stray cat on the porch. It was lying on its side perfectly intact, but it looked like a piece of driftwood. No blood, no struggle. It had been completely drained of every drop of internal moisture overnight. I went back to the kitchen and looked at the table. The box had moved. Only a few inches, but it had left a faint, charred ring on the wood, as if it had been vibrating with enough heat to burn the table. I checked the kitchen clock. It had stopped at 11:42 p.m., the exact minute we had crossed the threshold 2 days ago. I realized then that we weren't just staying in the house, we were being measured by it. I spent the afternoon tearing through my grandfather's study until I found a tattered scroll titled The Management of the 8 Seas. It wasn't a family history. It was a manual for a weapon. The Kotoribako, the box of children. It described a ritual from the 1800s, practiced by marginalized villages tired of systemic cruelty. They created an engine of extinction. They took the compressed agony of sacrifices, the hakai, or 8 seas of blood, and sealed them into these geometric puzzles. It wasn't a curse you could break with a prayer. It was a biological pathogen encoded into wood and spirit. It was designed to target the reproductive systems of women and the lives of children, ensuring that a bloodline didn't just die, it was erased. Naomi came into the room then, her face pale. She pulled up her shirt to show me her abdomen. There were bruises, faint, geometric patterns that mirrored the intricate carvings on the box. They looked like they were etched from the inside out. I realized with sickening clarity that the box didn't need to be opened to work. It was already recalculating her biology. As a male, I was safe, but not lucky. The scroll said men are preserved as custodians. We are the ones who carry the poison because the box needs a living shadow to move. The final line of the scroll was a warning. The engine stops only when the house is empty of breath. That night, the box began to unspool. It didn't open like a chest. Its wooden panels began to rotate and slide at angles that shouldn't exist in 3 dimensions. It expanded and folded into itself with a dry, rhythmic clicking sound. Every click felt like a needle pricking the back of my neck. A low-frequency vibration started shaking the floorboards, causing the windows to crack in perfect spiderweb patterns all centered toward the kitchen. I ran to the bedroom to grab Naomi and Hannah, but when I reached out, my fingers passed right through Naomi's skin. She looked at me, her eyes wide, but she didn't seem to see me. She and Hannah were becoming translucent, like smoke caught in a gentle breeze. They weren't dying, they were being processed. The air in the house grew thin and cold, and the smell of cedar was replaced by a suffocating stench of iron and ozone. It felt like standing in a slaughterhouse during a lightning storm. Suddenly, the box emitted a single deafening crack. It wasn't the sound of wood breaking. It was the sound of a seal being completed. In a heartbeat, the vibration stopped. The house went silent. I looked around the room, and they were gone. No bodies, no struggle. Just their clothes, neatly folded on the tatami mats. The box sat on the table, returned to its small, unassuming shape. It was silent once more. The weight Naomi felt in her pelvis. It's in my heart now. I left that village and never looked back. But I couldn't leave the box. It's tethered to me. If I try to burn it, the scroll said the curse will bloom and consume everything within 10 miles. If I throw it in the ocean, it will find its way back to my doorstep by morning. So, I do what the custodians before me did. I wait. I move through the bright, crowded streets of Tokyo, a hollow vessel carrying a nightmare in a paper bag. Last night, I sat on a park bench near a young couple. They were laughing, talking about their future, their children. I felt the box vibrate against my thigh, a single dry click. I stood up and walked away, leaving the bag on the bench. I whispered, "I'm sorry," into the wind, but I didn't stop. I caught my reflection in the window of a passing train. It was my face, my coat, my hair. But where my eyes should have been, there was only dark, grainless wood. Tell me, did you smell cedar when you woke up this morning? Or was it just the salt in the air?